All right, ActiveTarget 2, is it better than ActiveTarget 1? We're gonna dive into it right now.
Let's go.
We're here in Mexico. We are in the Dominican Republic. So I'm gonna tell you a couple different tips that have helped me over the years.
Wow! Unbelievable! Jacob Wheeler makes history!
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're going to dive into a deep dive, well, pretty deep dive into this video, into ActiveTarget 2 AT2. You guys have known for quite a long time now that I run a Lowrance unit. I like a Lowrance. I run 4 Lowrance units and a Humminbird. And, you know, there's been a lot of a conversation on what's the best forward-facing sonar on the market. What's the best? You know, in my opinion, I personally switched from Garmin to Lowrance a few years ago. And when they came out with the original AT1, I switched because I felt like I could see further, and I knew where the sport was probably going with that. And if I could see a little bit further than the other guy, then then I could just sort of, you know, hey, that I'd have a little bit of an advantage. Now, the big question I get asked all the time, hey, do I need to spend the money and get ActiveTarget 2, or do I need to stick with AT1? So let's dive into this a little bit. Let's sort of talk about some things that really what make a good forward-facing sonar unit, and then let's sort of just compare. I tried to do a video, I will say this. I tried to do a video where I had both ActiveTarget 2 and ActiveTarget 1. I will say ActiveTarget 1 does seem, just my first initial thoughts on it, I do think it does a better job in shallower water. Just like not all like better job, but it does a good job in shallower water than it does on my boat at one point in time in the middle of summer, and for some reason somehow the footage got lost. So I'm sorry about that, but at least I can show you some of the things that I personally have seen, and we can just back out off the dock and show you firsthand what I personally see is a little bit better, and some of the things that are drastically better than what you might be seeing on ActiveTarget 1. Hot tamale, current's ripping, bud. Really moving out of here. Okay, so we're out here in 30 feet right now, and you know your boy, I'm always looking. And so the first thing I want to talk about is distance, because I think that was something I shot the first video with AT2 versus Garmin, or AT1 versus Garmin, and sort of my experience there. I will say there's the first thing on the distance side. So let's just put it to, like, right now it's 100 feet. Let's go to 120. Back off a little bit. You can see there's some bait out there. There might be a largemouth or some sort of kind. You could even see some out there further, but you're going to start to lose a little bit of that clarity. It's pretty good clarity at 80 feet right there. You can sort of see some separation in those fish, see what's going on. It's 30, and this is the thing that anglers need to realize, and overall, is the clearer your water, the better image you're overall going to get in the separation. Typically, this water clarity is what's probably normal for most people around the country. You know, that 1 to 2 foot of visibility, not super clear, but a green foot or two, and a foot and a half. That's typically what's normal. The dirtier it is, a lot of times there's sediment in the water, or windy days, you're going to have, it's going to be a little bit more of a cloudy sort of image. Sometimes that can sort of mess you up, and so you might get out there on the water and that's your first day and you're like, what's wrong with my graph, or what's wrong with my unit? That's probably going to give you that sort of reading, and that's what's going to be happening. So overall, I'm going to say this. I'm going to make a cast, which people also don't realize how far 100 feet is. That's 90 feet. I see my bait hit the water right there. It's at, like, basically right at 90. I'm reeling it up. I'll show you guys so you can sort of see. And you got to keep your foot on, of course, but there she is, 60 feet, so on and so forth. So that's a forward swim bait at a 120. See fish below it, all that stuff. Okay, so that being said, so distance is about the same overall, but I think I personally have seen where you see further, your clarity's better further, and you have a little bit more target separation with that distance, and so that's really important right there. So you have more clarity further, which gives you a better understanding of what's transpiring out there in the abyss. Okay, so number 2 on that list, is going to be, versus AT1, is going to be that middle section. And I just showed you right there. There was a deal with AT1 where you, sort of wherever the middle section of your unit. So in this case, at 100 feet, I'm just going to put it back to 100 because that's typically what I have it on. Say like 60 to 40 might be like where two beams come together. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but there was a little bit of like a cloudy spot, if you will. And that cloudy spot would make it sometimes difficult to track your bait and what was going on. So with that being said, for me looking at this, it was just like, it would make it hard to follow what was going on with your bait or where your bait was. I don't have that issue with ActiveTarget 2 and AT2. You don't seem to see that nearly as much. The clarity and the overall clutter, I feel like they cleaned it up a lot, and so that makes it a lot easier for your everyday consumer to see what's going on. You know, I could see where, even with a little clutter, I knew sort of what was going on the AT1 side of things, but it definitely has improved with your clarity overall, with the overall picture and image, not necessarily of like target separation, but clarity of the overall image and not as much stuff going on across the screen. So that is something to definitely talk about and something that's important. One thing that I do want to talk about and hit on here is shallow water. So shallow water is becoming a better, a deal that people are starting to utilize it. Because it's better at target separation. That's another portion of it. So shallow water and target separation go sort of hand in hand. Not always, but it is overall like better if there's a lay down or if there's a big tree or a brush pile out here in the middle of the lake right here. I can see more of what's going on a boulder or a brush pile than I could see on AT1. So that is something that's definitely, it helps the consumer to understand, and the angler to understand what's going on. In addition to that, now obviously the rougher it is outside and the more wind you have, it's harder to see what's really going on and what's really happening. I'm going to slide out here real quick here. I'm going to show you sort of some shallow water and sort of see what it looks like around that zone. Well, I'm scoping for my bass. It's got to be around here somewhere. Big ones. Giant gizzard shad. Big ones, little ones, small ones. Looking for them giant crappies. Going crappie fishing. Looking for them big giant drum. Ooh, gar. See him? Yeah. I think it's a gar. For sure. Okay, so while we're making our way up here, I want to tell you guys, to be able to use AT2 and ActiveTarget 2, you ultimately do have to either have a Pro, the FS Elite, I believe, and or the Sonar module. So that basically what it is just it's basically, what is it, like a not a higher frequency, but it's basically like a better processor, right? Is pretty much what it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's basically just pretty much a better processor, and it ultimately allows for the carbon or the what's the Pro? No, it's not a Pro. The Live. So it realistically, what it is just a better processor, and it allows for the carbon or a Live. I believe a carbon. Doesn't it work with a carbon?
I think so.
I think so. Don't quote me on that. I know it works on the Live aspect because I've tried it, but I don't know how it works on the carbon. But regardless, you can get a module to where you can use this as well. It just basically processes that information at a faster rate and allows that unit to utilize that technology. So, all right. Now that we're up here, I'm sort of going to show you guys. Let's back off here a little bit. So we're sort of just sliding up here. There's a little grass edge. And let me back up because I want to show you guys sort of, and we're not shallow, I'm going to say, but I'm shooting up there pretty shallow. Okay, so I'm shooting up there to, I see right here. Okay, so I'm shooting up here. You can actually see right here, you can see some fish right there on that edge. I'm just going to cast out there and see if I can. Oh, in the grass. There's my bait. You can sort of see the fish on the edge of that grass. That grass is pretty tall. 60 feet out, and then it tops out right there. That's why you're seeing that. I gotta sort of keep it up. Oh, I had a bite, I think. Oh, there's it at 50 feet. Oh. Come on, Mr. Bass. So, anyway, what I'm basically trying to show you guys right here is there's a grass edge right there, and I'm basically able to see, even like out there at 100 feet up above the grass edge on the other side of that grass, you can see there's fish on the other side. You can see those dots that are like really like, they're really distinct. Those are fish on the other side of that grass edge. And so what I'm saying is that target separation, oh gosh, dang it, I just had one smoke it. You guys can see it right there. Oh gosh, he's on it. Got it. Okay. So you get to see exactly how it all goes down. A little swim bait right there on a grass edge. There's several little fish right there, and yeah. So that's exactly how it goes down in shallow water. So you got to literally see what went down. Cast out there. I would say the grass tops out at like maybe 3. Ooh, there's a couple fish that moved right there. That grass tops out like a foot, 2 foot underneath the water. Then as I'm sort of going off that edge, let's see if there's some more right there. I want to commit. They're not wanting to commit. Anyway. So that's sort of giving you that for instance. Like I was able to see that there's even fish on the other side. Like I'm throwing like a little 1/4 ounce head. I was able to see there's a fish on the other side. Oh, there's no one in it. Come on, bite it. Bite me stuff, please. Okay. Let's try and make one more catch. I want to catch one now. So you can see him up there in 80 feet right there. It's like, he sees it. You lose in the grass. So I also wanted to use this as a teaching tool because a lot of people are like, man, I can't see my bait in grass. A lot of times you're not going to see it inside the grass. I mean, it's obviously it's a lot going on right there. But I can see on the back side of this grass bed right here, and that there's fish behind it. So I can sort of, I keep my bait up. I had one ticket right there. I can sort of see what's going on. Oh, there's one right behind it. You sort of see him trailing it right there. He tailed off. So with that being said, it's pretty safe to say that like that's like literally a grass, but it's about 1.5 feet from the surface, and you can sort of see where that was. I can see on the back side of that the target separation on the AT2 does a better job overall than the AT1. It is impressive. They did a really good job with that, and that allows for anglers to utilize something. Now look, am I casting and utilizing this to pick off fish, single fish most of the time? Not as much shallow, but what it allows me to understand, just like right there, it allows me to understand that, hey, there's some fish in the area, there's some fish are following my bait out, and I might have to switch up from this swim bait right here to a jerk bait or to a topwater or to something different, which is what helps us do like that process of elimination as a tournament angler or as just a bass fisherman or as a crappie fisherman or whatever we're doing out there. It allows us to process information a little bit faster rate and helps us make those adjustments a little bit quicker. And so that's allowing us, and that AT2 is allowing us to do that a little bit faster, a little bit quicker than we were just, a year ago with AT1. Okay, so with that being said, I really went through a couple different things that I felt like made it a little bit different. Overall rating, I'm going to give it about a 30% better in overall package. The one negative is, okay, of course, you're going to have to buy an additional unit. And or the things that I had mentioned, whether it's the box or it's one of the couple units that you can use, or so that's one thing that's going to be a little bit of a con, but it is a better technology, so it's going to give you a little bit more. It's still not the cure. Okay, look, there's certain times that you're going to have to turn this off and just go bass fishing and reel around up shallow, or but it does help you decipher things a little bit quicker, and it definitely has helped me. Now I will say this, earlier on, in the spring, there were some things that were a little glitching out a little bit. Make sure you have the most update or the newest update. If you do have ActiveTarget 2, make sure you have the newest updates on both your box and your units. That allows for it not to have that glitchiness. There was a little bit some things they had to figure out earlier, or on the earlier side of things, and so make sure you have those if you are having issues with those, because I've not, since that point, I've not had an issue with it since. So drop a comment below, let me know what you guys think. I would like to eventually do a ActiveTarget 2 versus Garmin Live Scope. They're I think it's 34, or it's I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, I might actually have to buy one and just compare, so where my viewer can see that and exactly what's going on and sort of my opinion on it. So appreciate you guys following along, and we will see you on the next one. From an object or from the bottom. So for instance, I actually try to shoot a video out here on the lake and show you guys an exact look, because I actually had ActiveTarget 1 on in my boat as backup for half the season, so to make sure that I knew which one was legitimately better than the other. And obviously I ended up taking it out, so ActiveTarget 1 out. So that sort of gives you an understanding of like where my mindset is on that. It just comes down to, I think actually DC did the exact same thing. He had ActiveTarget 2 in his backup, or ActiveTarget 1 in the backup in his boat, because he was convinced early on, again, because we were used to it, that, oh, ActiveTarget 1's, a little bit better. Very, very quickly in the middle of the season, or towards the middle of the season when we really started utilizing it and sort of talking back and forth to each other, we both realized the same thing, that there were certain things that ActiveTarget 2 had, and it did a really good job with that target separation, which in turn allowed us to see fish better that were tight to objects or tight to the bottom. And I think that is the biggest thing that I personally have seen. Clarity wise, it is definitely better, about a 10 to a 20% difference. The target separation, I would say it's probably 35% better than ActiveTarget 1. And that sort of, to me, was the biggest thing, that was the biggest thing for me as far as product-wise that I can see, within the switch. So distance is relatively the same. I can see, I typically run my ActiveTarget on about 100 feet. Now there's anglers that run theirs on 60, there's anglers that run them at 80, there's people that run it at 120. It depends on what you're really trying to do with it. But the cool thing that I will say that one of the other major features that I could see the difference on the ActiveTarget 1 versus ActiveTarget 2 was that there was a line in ActiveTarget 1 that was like a 20-30 foot area. If you're at 100 feet, I'll just say there's the middle zone is what I'm going to call it. That it was a little bit blurry. I'm just assuming, I don't know this to be fact, but there's two beams, I'm assuming, that coming together right there, and I think that middle portion of that, when it comes together, it would like make it like a little bit blurrier. That's not there as much with ActiveTarget 2. So they fixed that, so I have more clarity for the whole distance of my screen, which is a huge deal when you're talking about a fish is following your bait and you're trying to figure out how it's reacting and what's going on. And in addition to that, as these fish get pressured, the less and less effectiveness, the more dialed in you have to be to get a fish to actually react and ultimately bite your lure. So everything's about efficiency, and that is one thing they really did a really good job of, and I could visually see that right off the bat from switching from AT1 versus AT2. Goes on AT2, they upgraded Lowrance, updated it a little bit and upgraded that with just some subtle things like having two lines to know exactly where you need to have your transducer mounted, as far as what angles and all those things, where it was simple for the consumer to realize, okay, hey, this is the right place, and that makes it a little bit easier on the install for sure.